12 minutes to go in normal time. Liverpool 3-0. Corner taken quickly, Origi! Yeah! Yeah! Unbelievable! Divock Origi! Oh my word! Yes! This is extraordinary!
Hello and welcome to the Redscast. It is me, Matty, on my own today. Hello to anyone listening on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, Alexa, and anything like that. And also hello to our listeners over on KCC Live. And if you are watching on YouTube, you can see the visual one. I'm a little bit worse for wear, to be honest with you. I'm gutted. I'm disappointed. But I get it, if that makes sense. Like, 0-0 against Everton is just one of them. You just don't want to happen ever because they're so bad and Liverpool are so good. But you could understand that we'd be rusty after, I think it was 13 weeks off. Klopp surprised a few people with the team. We did discuss it on the last podcast, me and Steve, that probably Milner would replace Robertson if he is injured. And then we spoke about Minamino and stuff like that for Salah. But I did not expect Kaiser to start ahead of Wijnaldum, if I'm completely honest. Even though Kaiser's been looking unbelievable in training and was probably one of our best players on the pitch, I didn't think he'd start over Wijnaldum, and I didn't think Minamino would start either over the Ox. But Klopp surprised a few people with his selection, but I wouldn't say it didn't work. I'd say Minamino looked bright. Him and Kaiser, to be honest with you, though the match ratings, what I've seen, they haven't been the best for them too. I think they look sharp, and Kaiser's link-up play was phenomenal. You did get glimpses of it. He just needs to make them glimpses last more than a few minutes and for 90 minutes. But yeah, breaking the derby down, Liverpool had 10 shots, Everton had 9. We had 69.9% of possession and they had 30.1%. They had 67% pass succession to our 85. We had 29 aerial duels, 1 to their 22. They competed more tackles than us with 20 to our 16. We had 6 corners to their 1, and we were dispossessed 15 times to their 10. Now, also, all of them, Liverpool dominated and all the stats, but the one that I do not enjoy seeing us dominate on is the dispossessed stat. Usually that's so low for Liverpool, like 2 or 3. And the fact that we got dispossessed 15 times is absolutely crazy. But one thing I will say at the start of the podcast is fair play to Everton. To be honest with you, if you asked me before the game, I told me mate 6-0. I can't remember what my prediction was on the last pod. I didn't think it'd be that big, but I was just so confident going into it because I just thought like Liverpool know that we're going to win the league on Wednesday, and I think the anticipation and the hype, I don't know why I expected anything different from Liverpool. We've had years of being disappointed, so now we're all Burnley fans tonight, and yeah, it's just, I don't like relying on another team to mess up for us to get what we want. But then it does make it a little bit sweeter that we could probably win it against City. But then I wanted them to give us a guard of honour. I really wanted City to give us a guard of honour. And for the same reason I've spoke about with the Everton game, I wanted to see them iconic pictures of our players dropping to the ground with like disbelief and happiness to be at Anfield. Not anywhere else. It's not Goodison, and especially not the Etihad. Even though it would be good to beat City at the Etihad and win the league at the Etihad, again, that's too much pressure for me because City are a good team, and to say, right, we need to go there and at least get a draw, that's all right. But to say, oh, we need to go there and win, that's not all right. So we need to definitely win Palace on Wednesday, regardless of the City game today. We just need to win Palace. If City drop points today, we can still win the league against Palace on Wednesday. But who knows? City did look good against Arsenal. Arsenal didn't do us a favour either, did they? But City did look phenomenal against Arsenal, dare I say it. So I'm not expecting them to be turned over by Burnley, but then Burnley are at home. But then you've the whole fan thing. That Merseyside derby, to me, was one of the worst Merseyside derbies I've ever watched. Not just in terms of the playing and the playing style of both teams, and both teams just looked a little bit nervous to do anything. For me, it was just a little bit like no fans. What's a derby with no fans? You know what I mean? And it just didn't sit right with me having no fans. I watched them with my mates and we had like the crowd noise on, and even that, it's so much better the German crowd noise than our crowd noise. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was just because they were using Everton's crowd noise, but Everton usually have decent fans, so I was quite surprised, to be honest with you, at how bad the crowd noise sounded. Whether we had it set up wrong or what, I'm not really sure, but it just didn't sound that good compared to when I've watched the Bundesliga. Their crowd noise just seems a little bit more real. Whether that be because I don't know what they're saying, so it just sounds like noise, maybe. But yeah, it just didn't sit right with me. And to be honest with you, when I watched the game on Wednesday, I'm probably not going to watch it with crowd noise on. And it depends. I probably won't even be watching it with my mates. It doesn't look like we're going to win the league, which is just devastating, really. I mean, the City game is a good game to win it. If you're asking me, like, if you want my personal opinion, City game's a good game to win it. But it's just a little bit like we want to win it at Anfield. You know what I mean? And the City game's just a little bit for me. We're playing them on Thursday, 2nd of July, 8:15. It's just a little bit of a crap game. If you ask me, like, who wants to win the league on a Thursday? Everyone's going to be in work on the Friday. Like, most people are back now. Most of my mates are back in work, especially. So who on earth wants to win the league on a Thursday? Do you know what I mean? It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. But yeah, that's just football for you, isn't it? Never ceases to amaze. But we are going to discuss more about the upcoming fixtures because more have been announced later on in the pod. But I just want to get into the nitty gritty of it. Obviously, Milner went off quite early on, so then we had to see. I feel like Gomez played left back, but I'm not quite sure. I think they all just done their own bit, and Virgil van Dijk shown last night again why he is the world's best defender, and in playing next to Dejan Lovren, he deserves about 20 Premier League medals for doing any minutes with that guy. I seen a stat, I'll try and pull it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, that Lovren yesterday, let me get it up. He played 17 minutes. He lost every tackle he went for, lost possession 3 times, got dribbled past once, and it was only 1 attempt. He misplaced 8 passes and lost 2 aerial duels. And he's on £100,000 a week. I honestly think I could do better than that, and I'm not the best at footy. I was never that good. I've got a left foot that comes out once a year. But that's just shocking. Absolutely shocking. Now, Carragher went in on him, saying he should play off him. He was like on tweets about how bad he was. Now, whether that's because Lovren's like Mikel Silvester's tweets, I'm not getting into that. Lovren shouldn't have done it because Liverpool Twitter would leech him for it. He's already not the biggest fan. Liverpool fans aren't the biggest fan of him. So he's just making more reasons because Carragher's one of us, isn't he? You just don't want to upset him. But yeah, he was shocking. He was so bad. And it disappointed me how bad he was. Salah, I'm in one of them mindsets, me, in football, and if you can make the bench, you can start. That's the way I look at it. If you're fit enough to make the bench and potentially come onto the game, you're good enough to start that game. Now, Salah didn't come on, so that logic sort of doesn't apply, but I just don't get it, me. I don't get why he was on the bench if he can't even play. Do you know what I mean? We've got the likes of Curtis. Like, we had Neco Williams and Harvey Elliott on the bench. So why didn't, if Salah couldn't play and couldn't come on because of his injury, why not just put Curtis Jones on the bench instead? Someone who could have come on for Keita or Henderson or whatever, and like maybe made an impact. Maybe scored another screener past him. You know, Carlo Fantastico couldn't beat the kid. You know, but Everton looked good. I'm going to hold my hands up, be the first one to say Everton looked really good yesterday. They were tight, they were compact, they had the better chances. They should have scored multiple times. They probably should have beat us. A draw was probably a fair result because we absolutely dominated and we passed off the park for 90 minutes, but we're just not clinical enough. It's just the be all and end all of it. Liverpool are not clinical enough. We desperately need a striker, and if that didn't show yesterday, I don't know what will. I mean, I'm not saying we need a first team striker because Bobby is obviously the first choice, and he always will be because Bobby is the system. Whether he scores 2 goals or 10 goals in a season, he is the system. The system doesn't work without Bobby. He glues it all together. But And I get that our goals come from Mane and Salah. But when one of that front three is injured, we drop off so much. And it's worth noting that when United got points against us, Salah weren't playing in that either. Now, I've criticised Salah before myself for being too ball greed. But when he doesn't play, Liverpool just lack creativity and lack that spark, really. And it was shown again yesterday. I mean, Takumi, he played all right, considering it was a Merseyside derby, first game back after so long out. The expectations were so high. I wouldn't have thrown him into that myself. I would have done what Everton done where they've thrown in that kid Gordon. I would have just thrown Elliott in. Someone who's got the heart and the passion like Trent. Someone who, like... Now, I'm not saying Minamino hasn't got the heart and the passion, but a Premier League title win would mean a lot more to someone like Harvey Elliott than it will to Minamino. It'll mean a lot to the whole team, but Minamino's come in January. Elliott's been a Liverpool fan his whole life. Do you know what I mean? Like... Oh, God. I just didn't understand that. But Minamino did look good. And when you go into his actual stats, he wasn't terrible. He had 2 tackles, 85% pass succession rate. He had 2 shots. And he didn't get dribble pass. He got dispossessed 3 times. But didn't have any aerial duels or anything like that to go up against him. But you know what? I always thought Minamino was younger than 25, so it's not like he's got... I mean, Robertson had a little bit of time settling, and so did Fabinho, but he needs to start hitting the ground running really at that age. I don't think FSG's model of buying youngs where he can sell them for a profit really applies to Minamino, because he needs to hit the ground running. But he didn't play bad. If you like... Nah, he didn't play bad. He really didn't play bad, and there was some of his movements that was phenomenal, but I don't think he'll work with Firmino. I don't think him and Firmino should start together ever, because they're so alike. If you watch any of our games this season when our front three play together, the reason we score goals is because Mane and Salah make chances out of the possession that Firmino creates. So Firmino does runs that drags defenders out of position to allow Mane and Salah to cut in, and then they get the goals. Now, Minamino is that type of player as well. He makes a lot of chances. There was the chance where him and Keita, right, took the mick out of Everton, and then Minamino shot, and he probably shouldn't have shot. It was in the box. It was quite crowded, but you know, you're not going to take that away from the lad. You know what I mean? To score Liverpool's first goal back in a derby, you're not going to take that away from the lad. Fair play for having a shot, fair play for having the confidence to do so, but he was creating that space, which then Keita ran into, to then link up with Minamino, which opened the space and opened up the gate, so to speak, to Everton. So it was a little bit... I don't think they should play together. I feel like Minamino's a good option off the bench, and that's what he should be for Liverpool, a bench player starting in other games, you know what I mean? Not starting in like Merseyside derbies or against like United, your Cities and stuff like that. He's very similar to Bobby, and I feel like if he started down the middle or on the right without Bobby playing, if Bobby was having a rest, then it might work, because Minamino would then ultimately act as Bobby in terms of creating the spaces and stuff for Mane and Salah to then utilise. So it might work without Bobby in the team, but playing 2 players who are very similar, it just didn't work for me. And maybe it's something he can work on in training, maybe it's something that will improve, but them 2 just shouldn't start together, because they're two players that are so alike, and you don't really want 2 people cutting in and making the chances and making the space when they've only got Mane to utilise it. Who, by the way, Sadio Mane, we need to protect that guy at all costs. He was so eager to play, he forgot to take his knee in the Black Lives Matter thing. I shouldn't laugh, but you can see that was a genuine mistake. And the amount of people who reached on Twitter for it, like when it first happened, it was just like, come on. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would he not take the knee? He's got no reason to. He's all for the Black Lives Matter movement, as is everybody in the world, to be honest with you. If you're not for it, then you're just a racist, really. And I'm not going to touch on it, because I don't know the ins and outs of everything to do with the Black Lives movement. I know a little bit, and I've got my own things, thoughts on things. But yeah, if you're a racist, you need a leg anyway. So it's not like he done it on purpose and he got reached for it. But then Liverpool fans are just saying protect him at all costs. He was so eager to play, which he was. You could see he just wanted to get going. As for the rest of the team, Virgil van Dijk was my man of the match. Just for what he'd done when Lovren came on for them 17 minutes. Like, it's bizarre, like, how bad Dejan Lovren actually is. I think the Ox should have got brought on sooner. I said this in the last podcast. He's not nowhere near as close as Steven Gerrard for Liverpool. He's nowhere near as good as Steven Gerrard for Liverpool. However, he's one of them players who will not be scared to have a shot from 30, 40 yards. We've seen it against City in the Champions League. We've seen it multiple times in the Premier League. The Ox will shoot from outside the box, and he's got a decent shot on him. So I think he should have come on sooner, and I think he might have scored, because there was a chance of it in the 85th minute when he danced around the defence, and it ended up getting Fabinho, who took the free kick. That free kick, the Ox made that. Now, that's what the Ox can do. He can cause a problem for defenders. He can shoot from outside the box. Nobody knows whether he's going to take them on or shoot, because he's got the ability to do both. And that's what I like about the Ox, and he causes problems for the defence. Everton's defence, yesterday, to be fair, was actually decent. I think Mason Holgate got man of the match. I'm not 100% sure, because to be honest with you, made the final whistle, went to turn it off because I couldn't be bothered. I was fuming. I was proper fuming. Just because it just took away the fact that we could win the league on Wednesday, and the fact it might now be the 2nd of July, which is like 11 days away, something like that, after the Palace game. So yeah, I was annoyed. But yeah, my man of the match would be Van Dijk, to be honest with you. If not Van Dijk, I'd go as far as saying Fabinho. I'm knackered. I'm proper done in. These late night games are no good for me. I'm old now. Fabinho had 93% pass succession. He had 6.8 possession of the whole game. He had one shot, 3 out of 3 aerial duels, 3 out of 3 tackles, never got dispossessed. It was solid. It was the Fabinho that we remembered. He was solid. He was filling the gaps. He was defensive. He was attacking. Didn't know he could take a free kick, but if Pickford didn't get his hands to it, that was going in. All round for me, Fabinho probably will get man of the match, but just for them 17 minutes that we played with Dejan Lovren, Van Dijk deserves man of the match, because I couldn't play with that guy. But Van Dijk's stats, by the way, for yesterday, oh my God. 10 out of 10 aerial duels won, 88% pass succession, 9.7% of the whole possession on the pitch, and the rating him at 7.5, with the Holgate of 7.7. So he is closest to man of the match, other than Holgate, but he was just world class. He is world class. We need to give that man whatever money he wants and give him his contract for as long as he wants. He is an absolute genius. I called my dog Virgil after him. I'm getting another one called Bobby as well. So, but yeah, Virgil van Dijk is just world class, and he's just a Rolls Royce defender. He showed that again yesterday, how good he actually is, especially with Lovren on the pitch. But the substitutes for me, he was a little bit mad. If you want me full opinion on it, he was just a little bit mad for me, only because there was just times when I wouldn't have made changes that Jurgen made, and it felt like we started the game with a decent team, and by the end of the game we brought all our best players off anyway. I know, I mean, Everton obviously went for a draw because Everton was shocking, and may I add, the treatment they have of Moise Keane is ridiculous. Who brings a player on for 10 seconds, you know what I mean? If that was me, I'd say to Carlo, leg it, mate. I am not getting me kiss off to run on that pitch for 10 seconds. Like, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Why would you do it? And the fact that in the past he brought him on, then brought him off, he needs to just leg Everton. He's going to be a good player, Moise Keane, but not at Everton. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a player Juventus wants to keep hold of, but he left because of the racism within Italy, which is fair enough. But Everton are just weird. He's better than Richarlison. Richarlison, by the way, is a player who winds me up, because he'll get tackled. It was about the 86th minute he got tackled, and then he just went all guns blazing to hurt anybody in his line of sight, basically, because he got tackled. He's just one of them. Like, if he gets tackled, it just gets to his head and he starts going wild. He's crap. The fact they paid £50 million for him as well, and his only trophy in life is to go, I've ran past Virgil van Dijk that one time, so he's not world class. Leg it. Absolutely leg it. Like, just because you've ran past Virgil van Dijk doesn't make you one of the best in the world. You can't say to your grandkids when you're older, oh, what did you win? Well, I didn't win any trophies, but I ran past Virgil van Dijk that one time. Come on, mate. Why are you saying it? Making a fool out yourself. Absolute fool out yourself. And then when he was one-on-one, he put it into bloody Rosette. he just needs to stop talking, doesn't he? Like, if he had the the minerals to back up that he thinks he's as good as he is, then he would have scored that goal, and he just didn't. There was multiple times I was watching Richarlison very keenly after what he said about Van Dijk, and he's just bad. Bad player, but yeah, it goes through. With me fairly about if you're good enough to be on the bench, you're good enough to come on and start the game. I would have started Gomez over Matip. Now, what's concerning is the fact Matip and Milner got injured yesterday. More so Milner, because we don't know how long Robertson's going to be out. Like, no one's really mentioned it. And then we want Milner for the running. We do. I mean, obviously, you might not get as much game time in the running as he might like, because I think once we've won it, Jurgen will play people in terms of getting the medals, like Elliott, like Williams, like Jones. But yeah, it's concerning. We need to just hope Robbo's back for the Burnley game. Then we've got an 11-day break for people to get fit again. But yeah, it was just disappointing to see Milner go off. I think that changed the layout of the game, because you had the likes of Gomez in that playing out position now. I know he's played left back before, but Joe Gomez by nature is a right back, and then he's moved into central defence. And he's got a good partnership with Van Dijk, but he's only really moved into central defence because he's not dislodging Trent. Do you know what I mean? So it was just a bit mad how much the game changed, but it was just a boring game. If I'm completely honest, it was just boring to watch. We were very good on possession. We were very good at most things, to be honest, but putting the ball in the back of the net. And it just didn't seem like Liverpool. It felt like Everton had the better chances, which just doesn't really happen against Liverpool. And Everton should have scored when Alisson parried it. They should have scored then. There was multiple times, I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but they should have scored a few goals, and they should have won as Everton. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why they didn't win. We were shocking Liverpool in terms of final product. And when you look at the players who didn't come on, Salah, Elliott and Williams, why wasn't it worth a punt to throw Neco Williams on at right back on like the 80th minute and put Trent into midfield for that bit of creativity, like the passes? Trent didn't have his best game in a red shirt, but he's a kid. He's not going to play world class every game. He's still a kid, but he's still our kid, isn't he? He's going to be the captain of Liverpool one day, and rightfully so. But I just didn't understand that. We could have threw Neco at right back and pushed Trent further up, or brought Elliott on, or I would have even brought Elliott on before Divock Origi. Origi is one of them players, isn't he? Who's either absolutely shocking, or he's Divock Origi and getting the winner in the Champions League final and taking the mick out of Barcelona. So he's just what I love Divock. I love what he's done for the club, but he's not good enough for Liverpool realistically. I think he stayed this year because we couldn't really sell him after what he done last year. And I do think he'll go in the summer. But I would have put Elliott on. If Salah really couldn't play, I would have thrown Elliott on instead of Origi, just to give him that little bit. Elliott's I'm a Scouser, but he's a Scouser at heart, and he's a Liverpool fan. So just to have him coming on in the derby, do you know what I mean? And just thinking, right, I want to score here, and I'm going to do it. Like, it would have just given him that little bit extra oomph, do you know what I mean? And the bench for me was quite weak when you look at it. You had Lovren and Gomez came on, and then you had Williams on the bench as well. It was 3 defenders out and 9 subs, and then Adrian, so that's 4. So we had 5 attacking options with the Chambo, Wijnaldum, Origi, Salah and Elliott. And I probably would have brought Elliott on over Origi. Wijnaldum, I expected to start, but Naby played decent. The Ox should have probably come on earlier. But you know what? It's all full of if buts and maybes. I'm not going to complain. We're 23 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Never been done before. A gap that big. We're going to win it earlier than anybody else, I think. Well, maybe not now because of that result, but we're still going to win the league in the next 2 games. If City draw or get beat by Burnley tonight, basically if they don't win, we're going to win the league on Wednesday. If they do win, we're going to win the league at the Etihad on the 2nd of July. Now, going on to that, they've announced more fixtures now. So, after the City game, that's all we got up to, weren't it? Thursday night, 8:15, 2nd of July. Crap. If you ask me, absolutely crap. I would honestly rather not win the league at 8:15 on a Thursday night, because we wouldn't know till like 10 o'clock, and I will be back at work. It's annoying, proper annoying. However, so the next games have been announced. We've got Villa on the 5th of July, 4:30 kickoff on a Sunday. I like that. I do like that. If I had my way, if we don't win it against Palace, I'd rather win it against Villa. 4:30 kickoff on a Sunday. It allows people to have barbecues with the mates or be socially distanced in the gardens with the mates. We're not going to go out on the streets. Merseyside police tweeted that, didn't they? Saying like how Liverpool fans and Everton fans were credits to the city. The whole country was watching, expecting Liverpool fans to be gathered outside that stadium. Not one person was. Everyone was at home enjoying it with the mates. Do you know why? Because we're Scousers and we actually listen. We listen to people. Like, why would we go and ruin? Because we all know if we went and bounced around Goodison, we probably wouldn't get a title parade. So why people think we'd ruin that is bizarre. And even the Everton fans, I thought they might have come out to try and be like, Liverpool fans gathered. But you know, we couldn't have won the league, so we weren't even bothered. I think the game should be bothered about Palace, but I'm not going anywhere. But that back garden, because why? What's the point? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the point in putting yourself at risk? And I don't get that. But yeah, back to the games that have been announced. We've got Villa on the 5th of July at 4:30. Then we've got Brighton on the 8th of July at 8:15. Now, I'm not 100% sure what day the 8th of July is on. Give me a sec. So we've got Brighton on a Wednesday night at Do you know what, right? People say that the Premier League have a bias towards Liverpool. No, they don't, because we have been getting the worst fixtures going because they know that we could win the league at any minute, and they don't want everyone to be like a Saturday night or Saturday 3:00 kickoff, so you've got all weekend to party and love it. But you know what? Liverpool fans, we're going to party regardless. So if you make us win the league against City at 8:15 on a Thursday night, we will still party into the Friday and no one will be going into work. If we win the league against Villa at 4:30 on a Sunday, people won't be going to work on the Monday because they'll be celebrating. And then Brighton on the 8th of July, a Wednesday night, 8:15. Who cares? Again, that doesn't bother us. When we knocked Barcelona out of the Champions League, that was on like Tuesday or Wednesday? It was for Tuesday or Wednesday regardless. 8:15. We still partied. And then we've got Burnley on the 11th. We've got one decent game. 11th of July, 3:00 kickoff. So we've got to wait basically almost a month before Liverpool are getting a decent game, like a Saturday game on like an afternoon rather than playing in the night, which is mad, really. Like, we're about to win the league. We've been given the worst fixtures, like in terms of the timing of them and that. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. But yeah, that's all I'm going to touch on today, really, because there's not much else to touch on. I don't really want to build up to the Palace game yet. I'm going to do that tomorrow, so you're going to get two podcasts offers this week, which is back to normal, which I'm excited about. So I'm going to touch on the Palace game tomorrow. I'm going to do a podcast tomorrow, touch on the Palace game, build up to that, because it all depends on that build up, whether City gets something tonight against Burnley, because if City win tonight, it's just another game on the title challenge, really, isn't it? We're not going to win it, so it's not going to be as special. Whereas if City, I'd love if I could sit here now and build up to the Palace game, but I just don't feel the need to when City are playing tonight, and that can affect it in a sense of if they do not win, Liverpool can win the league on Wednesday. It just changed the whole perception. So I will be back tomorrow with loads of content for you this week. But yeah, up the Reds, and any fans who are out there fuming because we didn't win yesterday, just like it. Don't, you know what? My advice to any fan who's upset we didn't win it yesterday, like win the game so we could win the league on Wednesday, just look at the league table. That's all you need to do. Look at the league table and see Liverpool back on our perch, 23 points clear of Manchester City, who have been regarded as the best side of the Premier League. They're not. Liverpool are. But that's all you need to do. You need to look and see that the best side in the Premier League is Liverpool with 23 points clear. And if you're fuming, leg it. I don't like fans who are just so annoyed when we don't win. Do you know what I mean? I've lived 25 years of my life watching Liverpool be crap. May I add, awful. I've seen Roy Hodgson as our manager. I have seen Liverpool get beat more times than we've won games and stuff like that. It's horrible. So the fact Liverpool now have been beat once, we've drew twice, and we're 23 points clear at the top of the Premier League, and people are still moaning, saying we should have won, we should have done this. It's just like, yeah, maybe we should have brought Elliott on, maybe we shouldn't have started Matip. Maybe he weren't that bad, Matip, to be fair, though. And do you know what I mean? And maybe Wijnaldum should have started. Maybe the Ox should have come on earlier. Maybe Salah should have come on and scored. And there's all if, buts and maybes, but nobody really knows other than Jurgen Klopp. So we're 23 points clear at the top of the league. There's no pleasing some people. We could have won 12-0 yesterday and someone still would have said, oh, Naby Keita dispossessed the ball on this bit and he was crap. No. Openly, I'll say Everton should have won that game yesterday. I'm not a bitter fan. I don't like Everton in particular, but they should have won the game. They should have. Liverpool passed them out the park, but they had passed them out the park and had more shots, but they had better chances. So they should have finished the chances, which shows why Everton are in the position they are at 12th, because they can't finish the chances. If Everton knew how to finish their chances, they would have beat us yesterday. But what do you expect? We've had 13 weeks off. Do you know what I mean? We've only been training together for like 3 weeks or 2 weeks. And also, Carragher and Neville need to leg the moaning about the water breaks. Do you know what I mean? So many thousand people have died in this pandemic. People who I know as well have died in this pandemic. And people who everybody probably knows in the city. It's just one of them things that you're always going to know somebody who has died from it, which is sad. And the fact they were moaning about water breaks, no, it's not just a water break, it's a disinfecting the flags and the goalposts and the ball break, which I'm all for. Do you know what I mean? These guys haven't played in weeks and weeks and weeks. It's like basically pre-season. And the thing that worries me the most is Liverpool aren't good after a break. When it's intense, Liverpool are fantastic. Now, if the games are going to be like 2 a week, we'll wrap the league up pretty quickly. But it just depends on. I mean, if City drop points tonight, we win the league on Wednesday, I think, against Palace. I'm interested to see how Liverpool play at Anfield without the fans. I mean, we played Blackburn and beat them 6-0, didn't we? But Anfield without fans, man, it'll be a weird place, a weird thing to watch Anfield empty. Apparently, we're one of the only clubs as well. We've used our sponsors on the seats like everybody else, but on the Kop, the Spy and Kop have apparently got the actual flags on the Kop, which is a nice touch. The whole Kop covered with the actual flags we're used to seeing. But I do think I'm going to leg that EA crowd noise for the next game because, I mean, I'll watch it for a bit at Anfield and see if ours any better. We've got the best atmosphere in the league, so the crowd noise for Liverpool might be best than the crowd noise for Everton. And that's not against Everton fans. It was shocking yesterday. Do you know what I mean? It's not against them. They weren't there. They weren't making noise, but the EA crowd noise was abysmal for that derby, and I did not enjoy it one bit. Like, on the Fabinho free kick, for example, it was already out for a corner before you heard the noise of them groaning because he hadn't scored. And it was just like, it's so delayed. Which is like FIFA. If people haven't played FIFA, it's the worst, most painful, infuriating game on the market because the servers are so bad. So it doesn't surprise me that there's still lagging in real life as well. But yeah, I'm back tomorrow. We'll have someone with me, whether it be Steve in the studio or somebody on our fancy telly, talking about the game. I'm going to try and get some people on, and I did mention it as well on the last pod. If you are a Liverpool fan and you want to come and talk about Liverpool with me, whether that be now, you can on Skype. Steve can come into the studio because we work together as carers, so we can't social distance as carers. We've explained this. However, if you want to come and talk about Liverpool, you can. We'll speak about it via the telly. Or if you want to come in the studio, you can wait till after lockdown and we'll talk about Liverpool in the studio. But if you're a Liverpool fan and you do want to come on the podcast and have a little chat, let me know. Get in touch. I love speaking football. I love speaking to new Reds who I've never met before about football. And I like hearing other people's opinions on things. So yeah, I'm always willing to have pretty much anyone on the podcast, really, anyone who wants to chat. Because I just love talking about Liverpool. And obviously you've got to have a decent enough knowledge. You can't come on and tell me that Everton won the other day and stuff like that because, no, you know what I mean? You need to have decent enough knowledge of Liverpool. That goes without saying, really. But yeah, I'm open to having people on the podcast if you're interested. Get in touch. Also, a big shout out to KCC Live, who are supporting the podcast now and will be broadcast between the hours of 6 and 8 every single Monday, which is a little sneak preview for you. That podcast will be 2 hours long. when we get back into the swing of things. We're still in pre-season ourselves, still teasing, you know, new studio and that, still just getting used to it. But yeah, so big thanks to KCC Live for supporting that. Any new listeners, we got loads of new watchers on YouTube after the show aired on KCC Live last week, and we got loads of new subscribers, and also the downloads of the podcast plummet is the word, is the wrong word, isn't it? Skyrocketed. They almost doubled after the episode aired on KCC Live, which is phenomenal, really, and big love for them. But yeah, if you are listening on KCC Live, do follow us, Redscast Podcast everywhere. You can listen to us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Alexa, KCC Live. You can watch us on YouTube. There's loads of ways to get in touch with the Redscast. And yeah, I will be back tomorrow with somebody to discuss the Palace game. And tonight, come on the Burnley.